All right, victory remains elusive for the Detroit Pistons in the NBA. The Pistons failed to score an upset against the Boston Celtics in overtime, 128-122. The boys from Motor City even led by 21 points in the first half, but it wasn't meant to be as the Celtics outlast the Pistons in the extra period to hand Detroit its 28th straight defeat. Ouch. Now over in the West, the Denver Nuggets making it look effortless against the Memphis Grizzlies, 142-105. Nikola Jokic was perfect from the field and the free throw line. The Joker eventually finished with his 11th triple-double of the season, 26 points, 14 rebounds, and 10 assists. The champs have now won 6 straight, and Denver is second in the West with 23 wins and 10 losses. And the Minnesota Timberwolves pounced on the Dallas Mavericks 118-110. Anthony Edwards feasted on the Mavs with a season-high 44 points. Big man Rudy Gobert posted a double-double, 20 markers and 11 rebounds. The T-Wolves are second in the NBA with 23 wins and 7 losses. Almost but not quite for the Pistons as their disappointing losing streaks gets extended to 28 straight games. Does Detroit have enough left in the fuel tank to finally get back on the winning track? Well, joining us for an all-out NBA discussion is sports writer Josh Planos. He joins us live via Zoom from Lincoln, Nebraska. Good evening from Manila, Josh. Good morning to you there, and welcome back to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Paolo.
It's always a pleasure, Josh. Josh, listen, let's talk about the game between the Pistons and the Celtics. Obviously, at one point, it looked as if Detroit was going to finally pull off an upset against Boston, which is currently the #1 team in the league. Listen, from your perspective, how come the Pistons were unable to deliver that finishing kick against the Celtics? I mean, this has been a long run of terrible rotten luck for them, but, what needed to happen there to change the tide?
Yeah, the easy answer, Paolo, is that the worst team in the NBA really has no business being able to compete with the best team. And I think in the second half, you saw that. Boston might have 3 All-Stars on the roster this year. Detroit hasn't had an All-Star since 2019. So there's a clear talent disparity between the teams.
Yeah.
And I think once Boston woke up in the second half, they were ultimately the better team. Detroit, unfortunately, doesn't have the perimeter shooting or the interior scoring to match up. And I think over time, we just saw the better team win out, unfortunately. But a credit to Detroit, I thought they played incredibly hard and made that a lot more competitive than folks anticipated.
Well, obviously, the first half of the game, though, was an eye-opener. What were they doing right in the first half that they weren't able to follow through in the second half? And what changes do they have to make in order to finally sort of break this losing skid? What is it, 26 games, 28 games,
Yeah, well, I actually liked what we saw from them against Boston. I thought they reinserted Jaden Ivey back into the starting lineup. They moved away from some of those Killian Hayes minutes, which seems to be a situation where you either get Ivey or you get Hayes. And I think a lot of fans are clamoring for Ivey because he can still be a foundational building block for this team moving forward, but only if Coach Monty Williams actually plays him. Ivey was tenacious on the boards, particularly in the second half. I think he is a crucial guy for this team moving forward. And then you have guys like Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren who are developing. But Monty Williams needs to continue adjusting those rotations until something clicks. I think he's getting close, but it's a very young team. It'll take time. And unfortunately for Detroit fans, it's gotten pretty low to this point. But, this might be a fantastic story, come next season if they're able to turn things around and salvage the rest of this campaign.
It certainly would be the best Cinderella story out there. Josh, the Pistons have lost 28 straight games, and there's the number there, 28. The longest single-season losing streak in the NBA. They have a chance, though, of ending 23 with a win. Your thoughts on that?
I actually really like their next matchup.
Yeah, let's take a look at the next matchup, actually. The next 5 games, they'll go up against the Raptors on December 31st for their last assignment of 2023. They'll take a short break, then they'll hit the road to the West for a 4-game stretch, starting off with the Rockets on January 2nd, the Jazz on January 4th, and they will face the Warriors on January 6th and the Nuggets on January 8th. All those tough assignments. Which of these games do the Pistons have a good chance of winning? Where do you like them?
I like the next matchup. I think that'd be a fantastic New Year's Eve gift. for their fans. Toronto is not nearly at the level that Boston or Denver is, and that's who they play next. And I think that they get that matchup at home, so hopefully they can treat their fans to a nice win before the new year. Utah, though, is also a nice opportunity, but every game looks like a mountain when you're at the bottom of it, and unfortunately for Detroit right now, everything looks like it's a significant challenge. So hopefully they can get one win going and string a few together.
Sure, but with that nice comfortable 21 point lead, I think it does show that there could be light at the end of the tunnel. But let's shift to the Celtics at this point. They're the #1 team in the NBA with 24 wins and 6 losses. The C's have won 4 games straight so far. What can you tell us about Boston's performance this season?
Well, I told Andre at the start of the season, this would be the best team in the NBA. So far, I think they undeniably are. They're 20-4 against the Eastern Conference. You look up and down that roster and you see guys who have taken a huge leap. Jaylen Brown was really sick of people making fun of his handle. So he's having the best playmaking season of his career. He's averaging a career best in assists. You have Derek White, who is sick of people making fun of his hairline. So he shaved it off. Now he's an all-star. You have Kristaps Porzingis, who is sick of people saying that you can't build a team around him. So he unlocked the best lineups on the best team in the league. And then Jason Tatum is, of course, in the MVP discussion. So this team is loaded. They are fantastic, both their starters and their bench. And this is a championship level team if they continue to stay at this level. And remember, I think theoretically, this team should get better since they have 2 new starters who are, again, just getting up to speed.
Right. Okay. I'm going to put you on the spot here, Josh. What do you think the success, or how do you rate the success of the Celtics, and how will it carry over to the playoffs? What are your thoughts there?
Well, that's the big question, right? I mean, the rotations are going to get tighter. They'll still have those 2 new starters to mesh with during the regular season. I believe that this team's success will carry into the postseason because most of this lineup has been there before with each other. This team has been to a conference finals. They've been to an NBA finals. They've been tested. They've been challenged. So this team, to me, is one that we can anticipate seeing in the later rounds of the playoffs, if not in the finals. I mean, if you ask me today who would make it to the NBA finals, I would say it's certainly the Boston Celtics out of the East.
All right, good stuff.